Okay, thank you very much for inviting me to speak this morning. And good morning to everybody from Ireland. I'm very happy to speak to you today and to share my experience of providing natural play areas in Dublin. I've been involved in the building of around 50 playgrounds, and I believe strongly in the benefits of connecting children with nature. 5 years ago, if I had spoken about the well-being effect of contact with nature, I would have been described as a hippie and a tree hugger. Throughout the last 2 years of COVID lockdown, the mental health benefits of Greenspace have become very apparent to everyone, and the appreciation of contact with nature and natural spaces is now mainstream. This is especially important for children, as in the modern world, children are spending far less time outside than in previous generations. When I grew up in the west of Ireland, it was a rural area and we played in the countryside. We had no playgrounds where I lived. We climbed trees, played in the river, built dens, and had adventures without any adult supervision. In 2014, I started work on a play program for the council. At that time, there were 5 playgrounds in the county, which were all in major parks. They had high fencing and had very structured play equipment, as you can see in the photos. We feared that without strict safety measures, there would be accidents and insurance claims, and that teenagers would cause serious damage. A decision was taken in 2014 to provide playgrounds in every neighbourhood in the county, and it was my role to conduct with communities and build the playgrounds. I looked up at what equipment was available, and I looked across Europe to see the natural play movement and was very excited about bringing proposals to the community. At my very first meeting, I got a chance to get feedback from the community, and everybody said no. Nobody wanted a playground near their home. They asked, why was it needed? They said, we didn't have playgrounds growing up. The children now have everything. Why would we want a playground beside our house? They expected that with a playground would come traffic into where they lived. They expected vandalism. They expected noise at night. And they didn't see why children needed play equipment. So if you start a consultation with people, you have to be prepared to listen. So I had to figure out, why did people need play? Why should we be providing play where people lived? The traditional model in Ireland was play happens in parks. But why should we bring play out into the communities where people lived? Maybe people were right. Maybe play spaces were not needed. I didn't have them growing up, and a lot of people in Dublin didn't have playgrounds. So was playing at the weekend enough? Is it okay to bring your children in the car to the playground at the weekend? I needed to find good answers to these questions. What I found was that over the past 20 years in Ireland, there has been a significant rise in childhood health issues. Over a quarter of Irish school children are now overweight or obese, and this is a growing problem. The environments in which children are growing up are proven to have a significant impact on their health, their enjoyment of childhood, and their intellectual and physical development. There's also a large increase in children with mental health difficulties and children with sensory issues. Experts tell us that a disconnect from nature and from being outside is generally connected with poorer mental health outcomes for children. By creating better play environments, we'll bring more benefits for the physical and mental health of children growing up here, and it is also good for communities. And we note that childhood environments shape children's future health, as patterns of behavior in childhood predict how we behave as adults. Our environments need to be interesting and to promote physical activity. For mental health, there should be contact with nature. We need to avoid obesogenic environments where children have little motivation to be active. And at a minimum, we need to encourage children to spend more time outdoors where they live. A playground visit at the weekends is not enough. So what type of play is important? Thomas showed us 2 images earlier, the standard playground and the more natural play area. So what is important? So what I learned is that play is very important, but we have to understand what type of play. So local councils and local governments usually opt for the formal playground equipment, this coloured equipment. But what do children need? As part of my consultations, I spoke to hundreds of people around Dublin, mostly adults, and asked them to tell me about how they played as children. And people told me of adventures they had 50 and 60 years ago. And people told me, and I talk to children now, nobody tells me about a brilliant experience they had in a formal playground with pretty rainbow patterns on the ground. Everybody talks to me about an experience maybe in nature, usually without their parents, usually involving some type of risk, or it was not what we would now see as a typical play area. Usually it had free play and wild type play. So what do the experts tell us about what children need from a play area? So up to the age of 6, imaginative play is very important. This impacts on how our brains are formed, and it influences later health. This type of play helps children make sense of the world. They play out scenarios affecting them. They learn to create games. They learn to join in other children's games, and they learn to explore their imaginations. So if we look at the pictures here, the first picture of the girl jumping off the rocks. If I asked school children, if I said, tell me what game is being played here, every child has an answer. Every child puts up their hand. This is Princess Castle. This is winner of the Olympics. This is Troll under the bridge. A million different games are being played here. If this was a piece of playground equipment in the shape of a pirate ship, it would always just be a pirate ship. So what natural play can do is we can put things in very simply, and they are a prop for the child's imagination. We don't need to know, we don't need to understand what is happening here. Children will make this themselves. And this is a very important part of childhood development. Okay, another important type of play is constructive play. And this is benefits for all age groups. It has no rules, and it is up to children to do things for its own sake. This teaches children they can influence their surroundings, and it boosts creativity and problem solving. The indoor version of this game is when children at home turn the furniture upside down and put a blanket over the top and crawl underneath and make house and these type of games. Very important for children to do this type of thing. Then risky play. For a long time, we would have tried to remove risk from play without fully understanding what risk is about. So children learn about their bodies, about their strengths, about their weaknesses through risky play. They should learn to take risks when they are children, rather than it being teenagers who take all the risks. So young children should learn about risk. If things are too simple, children are not getting the challenge they need. So look at what's happening here. The boy in the red is going to crawl across the log. The boy in the blue thinks, maybe I'll be brave, I'm going to walk across. All the other children are standing back and watching. This is really serious business for children. Contact with nature is another very important part of play. This provides all the benefits of play. Children who have regular access to natural places show much better physical and mental health. An environment such as in this picture provides imagination play, constructive play, risky play. It improves concentration, it improves coordination, and it has all the essential elements needed by children. Group play is another thing that's important. So in urban areas, children live far more isolated lives than in previous generations, but they still benefit massively from playing with groups of children. The most important play experiences are with other children and not with your parents in a playground. A child will not mix with others while using playground which has strong rules. But on a piece of equipment like this, where you need others to be involved, children will naturally mix. So we try and put in as many things as possible where children need to work together. But can this approach include all children? In South Dublin Council, we're a signatory to the Barcelona Declaration. And that means we need to take decisions. We need to include people with disabilities in all of our decision making. We don't consider disability as something extra and that we need to provide special equipment. We see disability as a part of normal life, as a part of our regular user group in playgrounds. So there's lots of equipment available for children with disabilities, and we always choose equipment that can be used by all children together. So a wheelchair will go on the roundabout. Every child you can lift a child into the swing seat. You can put the child and carry them, come down the slide. We make it extra wide for that. We have trampolines, so lots of things where children can play together. But with disability, it is not all about physical disability, and it's not all about equipment. So we tend to concentrate on the physical disability, but in numerical terms, there are far more children with autism and intellectual disabilities who need to be considered. So with autism, in Ireland, it's estimated it affects about 1 in 150 children. And this can cause weaknesses in communication. They can have difficulty playing, making friendships. There can be language difficulties, repetitive behaviors, sensory problems. And children can become overly stressed and nervous. So how do we accommodate them in our playground design? What do we need to understand to make our play areas comfortable for all of these children? Well, the first thing to understand is that contact with nature provides huge benefits for children with autism. The rules of a playground may exclude some children, so we try and take away as many rules as possible. Certain children need to be in the full sunshine. Other children need to have shady places available to them. Children may need to hide. Children may be uncomfortable being seen from all angles. So to be comfortable, you need to have hidden places. There may need to be quiet places with very little activity so they can reduce their stress levels. And other children need very sensory-rich environments and sensory stimulation. So, how have we applied this in our play areas? Well, the first thing we did was we try and bring children into contact with nature wherever possible. With this play area, this is the entrance to a playground, and many parents were very angry when they saw this. They thought, these people understand nothing about children. This is danger. But right from the start, grandparents very much liked this. This is how they played. And right from the start, children really liked it. So they have naturally drawn to this type of play. This is another area that adults did not like. To an adult, this is simply 2 tables in a woodland. But to children, this is a restaurant, a hospital, a theatre, a morgue, a truck, a train, a launch pad. These children on the right are cooking a ham in a restaurant. The other girl on the left is the restaurant manager, and she is about to serve the food to the imaginary customers. Now, these children did not know each other. They're different ages, they're boys and girls. The day we went out to look and see how this was working. And it's a prop for the imagination. And the natural setting creates a relaxed mood where children can be creative and play freely. There are no rules. It's very positive for shy children, or children who are bad at initiating play or joining in. Children of different ages, children who speak different languages, can all join in. There are no rules to this type of play. We use existing natural features where possible. So if you're looking, where will I put the playground? If there's a place with some trees and some open space, use the trees. We don't clear anything to build a playground. So with this, you have your shade, you have your open areas. it makes a nice, pleasant environment for a playground. We use earth mounding a lot because if a child is nervous about joining in a game, it's better if they can stand back and watch first. Sometimes they will say, that boy, he looks mean. That girl, she looks nice. Maybe I'll play beside her. But if you have to stand with your back to a fence, that's uncomfortable. But if you can sit on a hill and watch, that's a very comfortable position. So it really helps children be more comfortable. Actually, it helps everybody be more comfortable because we all maybe are a bit shy or a bit uncomfortable at times. Nature provides a wide variety of experiences. And for play spaces, choose locations where nature can be incorporated. So sometimes when we're doing a play area, what we do is take away the fence and just take in trees, take in a meadow, take in a wet area, bring all of that inside the fence. And maybe don't have a fence is another thing. But this helps us say that nature is important for play. Tells parents, this is a good place to play. Children are allowed play in the trees. This is okay. This was a wooded area near a large playground, and we simply built a few pathways and entrances and made it part of the playground. So for children in a busy playground who can get stressed, or you will hear children crying in a playground, or they need to relax, having a place like this means that the play visit can last much longer. And especially for children with autism, they can retreat from all the noise, from all the activity, you know, have a little walk with their parents, and then are ready to join again. And this type of physical activity is really important for children. So it's really important that we can keep as many children active and playing as possible. So we use a mix of equipment and natural play a lot in South Dublin. So when we have a consultation, people naturally want swings and slides and towers, and that's okay, that's exciting for children. But we concentrate a lot on the setting, on the surroundings, because that can be the important part as well, this contact with nature. So understanding that equipment is great, but that the surroundings are also very important. Do not surround it with rubber safety surfacing and a close-up fence. Nature is messy and disorganized, and children do not need it tidied up where they play. By presenting play spaces like this, we're sending out the message that it is okay to play in natural places. In such places, children feel free to do their own thing. Less rules and more free play make it a less stressful place for everybody, and playground visits tend to last for many hours. This does not happen in our formal play areas that just have equipment and safety surfacing. The children have tried everything in the playground. The parents are standing there going, what next? You've done this, what do we do now? And the playground visits tend to be short. It is very different if you make everybody comfortable. With sensory play experiences, we use, again, natural materials where possible. So in this playground, this was a playground that's built around an Irish legend, but this bull is placed in a shady part of the playground. So many children and even adults will come and sit on this. It is a beautiful oak carving, and people will sit there and just appreciate the feel and the touch, and they will get many, you know, they will spend long periods. You will look and a child will still be sitting there. So this is an important sensory experience. Mud is also a very good sensory play experience. So this mud play area was designed by children from a local special needs school. It is really good fun for children, but all the mothers hate me now. This is another sensory rich environment provided for children. It has long grass, grit, sand, and very little else. There's a bridge that allows wheelchair access into the space. Now, a lot of people, this wasn't very popular with the local area, and a lot of children don't bother using it. The parents don't like it, but I've had a lot of contacts from parents of children with autism who love this space, who come down there, they walk through the grit and they drag their feet through it. And it's a different type of play. They sit in the area, they watch the birds, and it's okay because this area was a flooded area and we needed to do a drainage project. So very simply, there's 5 or 6 boulders, long grass, and it's a very simple play area, very cost effective. Sand was almost gone from playgrounds in Ireland for many years. It was considered dirty. I had seen sand in European playgrounds, but in Ireland, it had almost gone. Now we provide sand everywhere if possible. And we also provide wheelchair access into all of our sand play areas. And this has been a real learning thing for us. So if we provide wheelchair access into the sand, we find that most children actually use the wheelchair access and use the tables, the sand tables, because if it's snowing or if it's raining, you can still use the sand tables. Parents will let their children go into the sand, where before, if they had to walk in their shoes into it, they mightn't let them. So providing this type of access has meant that the sand play happens year round now. Children can find play spaces stressful, the noise and the activity levels, so it helps if there are places to retreat through. Standing with your back to a fence is stressful, but retreating to a willow dome or behind a bamboo screen is part of the fun of play. If you look at this picture, there are lots of people in this playground, but maybe only maybe 5 people using playground equipment. So what are people doing? What is happening here? This is a busy playground. Well, it really doesn't matter, but everybody is relaxed here. It's comfortable. Nobody is about to rush off. They're enjoying, it's a sunny day. They're in the sand. They don't need to be doing high activity all the time. This is a good environment for play. And the space we allow is as important as the things to do in a playground. The county that I work in would have a reputation for, in the past, for high unemployment, high drug use, vandalism, and crime. And a lot of people considered that an approach for natural play, or even having lots of playgrounds, wouldn't survive here because of the vandalism and the social problems. We found very quickly that natural play is not just suited to wealthier communities. You can have, large boulders like these children are playing on, earth mounds, sand. It is very difficult to do anything here. You can't set anything on fire. But not only that, is that when we provided these high activity levels, the overall problems in areas dropped. These areas look really well and people are proud of them, and they look after these areas. When I first showed images of Berlin playgrounds and Copenhagen playgrounds, nobody believed that it could work in Dublin, but it has proven to be far more successful than we could have even imagined. This other area here combines imaginary play, constructive play, contact with nature, and sensory play, and it's also fully wheelchair accessible. With free play, again, there are no rules. You can play in a puddle, you can fill your shoe with water, you can get lost. All of this is acceptable. I'm just coming to the end now, but I'm going to show you one other area that we're currently building. This is a new park, and rather than having any playground, it's all natural play. So this stone has been put in the last week or two. These tree trunks are there very, very recently. They were dead trees that were planted to create this atmosphere of an ancient landscape. And on the bottom, this water play area here, that is less than 1 year old. So when you employ a landscape architect to design play areas, you will get a very different result than if you just ask the manufacturers of playground equipment. So who wouldn't love to spend time in some of these environments here? These are relaxing, you get all the benefits of nature, and children will really enjoy them. So thank you very much for inviting me to talk, and I hope people found that interesting. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.